We're still on the topic of cruises, of course, and in the studio with us, Brett Dudley. He's the managing director of cruiseagents.com.au, which is Australia's largest online cruise wholesaler, and he sure can tell us a lot about cruises and why we should go on it. Brett, good morning.
Good morning.
So you have Steve and I have never gone on a cruise.
Give us a reason. Why should you go on? It's a very good question, actually, and one that everyone asks. Why should I go on a cruise holiday? One of the biggest benefits of a cruise holiday is it's all-inclusive on board. It's one currency on board. They take you to a new destination each day. So, for example, in the Mediterranean, you could embark on the ship in Rome. You could, the next day, you could wake up in Livorno, which is the port for Florence. Or the next day, you could wake up in Dubrovnik or Catacolon or Corfu or Monaco or Barcelona or Lisbon or wherever. So you're actually, it's a safe mode of travel, and actually since September 11 cruising became very popular because people saw it as a safe way to get around. It's all, like I said, it's all inclusive on board, all your meals are included, so people know that once they've purchased the cruise price, everything's included on board except for your drinks, although with Silver Sea it's inclusive of all drinks as well. So I guess the challenge is to, like yourselves, you've never been on a cruise. It's actually, you know, my biggest perception is a cruise holiday is like Star Cruises, for instance. It's a gambling cruise or something, but it's actually very much different.
But Brett, I mean, the impression of a cruise, because I've never been on one, the impression I have of the experience that would be much like the Love Boat that we've seen long time ago.
I met my wife on a cruise ship.
Is it anywhere close to that? Is it even more, or is it something like that? Or is that just a fantasy?
I think it's a bit of both, really. I think it can be a fantasy, for sure. I think it could be anything you want it to be, but I think that the perception that people have of the Love Boat, the hardware, i.e. the ships these days, have, you know, they've changed dramatically. I mean, they're, you know, up to 140,000 tonnes with 3,500 people on board, but have an array of facilities, you know, like eight pools, anytime dining, which has been a great introduction in the last 5 years, which means you don't have to, like on the Love Boat, for instance, you would have had to eat at 6 o'clock or at 8:30 at night, whereas now on most of the cruise lines have introduced personal choice dining, which you can eat at any time.
So why don't you tell us, what's the hottest cruise right now?
Mediterranean. Pretty well for 2005, Mediterranean cruises are sold out. And in fact, one of the cruise lines pulled a ship out of the Caribbean and sailed it to the Mediterranean because they were full on capacity. And so it's incredible, actually. It's just been that popular in the last couple of years, and actually we were already selling 2006 Mediterranean cruise holidays now.
Which is your favourite?
Silver Sea, definitely be my favourite.
Is it the third one that we saw in
That's
the clip?
The third one that we saw, and I think the reason for that is they're a small, intimate ship, 380 people, it's all inclusive. And it's a great mix of people on board. We've made a lot of friends from all over the world, so that's my favourite.
What are the three things you might want to look out for when you plan for a cruise holiday?
I think the most important thing is going on the right ship, Susan. I think that some of the mistakes that people make, they don't do enough research, and I guess that's our job really, is to make sure the consumer, we match the consumer with the right ship. So what they really need to look out for is, what do they want out of the cruise holiday? You know, do they want an all-inclusive holiday? Do they want French champagne, or do they just want a casual relaxation, or do they want internet access on board, or
a family one like Disney?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I guess the consumer needs to know their needs, and then we can match them up with that. But definitely that, and I think also a midship cabin is also always a good choice because it's much more stable. And with the big ships these days, they have stabilisers and things, so you really don't know you're at sea.
Any tips when you go on a ship, right, and we have seasickness? Any tips that you might have for us?
A good scotch doesn't hurt. But,
I told you should get the cabin right in the middle of the ship.
A midship cabin's great. And actually, people have a perception that being higher is better because they want to be up and feel that, you know, they're looking down, but actually lower is more stable. And the new big ships these days, the higher grade suites are actually lower down. So the centre of gravity, they're actually closer to the sea, so they don't move as much.
Okay.
Wow. Could be worth a try. I will think about it.
You've got two comments here. Thank you very much, Brett, this morning. Speaking with Brett Dudley, he's the managing director, of course, of cruiseagents.com.au, which is Australia's largest online cruise wholesaler.